Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a story so incredible, it sounds like it was ripped straight from a Hollywood script, but this is no work of fiction. This is the true story of a man who willingly walked into the jaws of hell, a place that would become the most infamous symbol of human cruelty, Auschwitz. His name was Witold Pilecki, and he was a soldier, a spy, and a hero who volunteered for a mission that no one else dared to take. Our story begins in 1939. Poland is under the brutal occupation of Nazi Germany. The Polish resistance is just beginning to form, a scattered network of brave men and women determined to fight back. Among them is Witold Pilecki, a cavalry officer and a veteran of the Polish-Soviet War. But as the resistance gathers intelligence, they hear whispers of a new type of camp, a place called Auschwitz. The reports are fragmented, confusing, and deeply disturbing. No one knows what's truly happening inside. Is it just another prison camp, or something far more sinister? The Polish underground decides they need to find out. They need eyes and ears on the inside, but who would willingly go to such a place? This is where Witold Pilecki steps forward. He proposes a plan so audacious, so unbelievably dangerous, that his superiors initially refuse. He will intentionally get himself arrested by the Germans and sent to Auschwitz. His mission: to gather intelligence, organize a resistance cell within the camp, and report back to the outside world. Think about that for a moment. While thousands were desperately trying to escape the Nazi dragnet, Pilecki was plotting how to get caught. In September 1940, under the false name Tomasz Surafowski, he walked into a Warsaw Street roundup, a deliberate trap, and allowed himself to be captured. His plan worked. He, along with 2,000 other civilians, was packed into a cattle car and shipped to the place he so desperately needed to see. Upon arriving at Auschwitz, the horrifying reality crashed down upon him. The infamous Arbeit matched Frey sign, the guard towers, the electrified fences. This was a factory of death. But Pilecki was not just a prisoner, he was on a mission. Almost immediately, he began his clandestine work. He formed an underground organization within the camp called the Związek Organizacji Wojskowych, or ZOW. His network was a masterpiece of covert operations. It was organized into small, 5-person cells, ensuring that if one group was discovered, the entire network wouldn't collapse. Their objectives were threefold. First, to boost the morale of the inmates by sharing news from the outside and distributing extra food and clothing. Second, to gather intelligence on the camp's operations, the number of arrivals, the methods of execution, and the names of the SS officers in charge. And third, to prepare for a potential uprising, hoping to liberate the camp with help from an outside attack by the Polish Home Army. For nearly 3 years, Witold Pilecki lived a double life inside the most dangerous place on earth. By day, he was prisoner number 4,859, enduring starvation, back-breaking labor, and the constant threat of death. By night, he was the leader of a secret army, meticulously documenting the Nazis' crimes. He built a radio transmitter from smuggled parts and began sending coded messages to the Polish resistance in Warsaw. These reports, which became known as Witold's reports, were the first comprehensive eyewitness accounts of the Holocaust from within Auschwitz. He detailed the construction of the gas chambers, the use of Zyklon B, the horrific medical experiments, and the systematic extermination of Jews and other prisoners. His messages were then relayed to the Allied governments in London. Pilecki's reports were chillingly precise. He described the process of selection on the train ramps, where the elderly, the sick, and children were sent directly to their deaths. He documented the camp's expansion and the ever-increasing scale of the killing, but the Allies were skeptical. The information was so monstrous, so beyond the pale of civilized behavior, that they struggled to believe it. They thought the reports were exaggerated, propaganda from the Polish underground. Pilecki, still inside Auschwitz, grew increasingly desperate. He saw that his intelligence wasn't leading to action. The bombing raids he hoped for, targeting the gas chambers or the railway lines leading to the camp, never came. He felt the world was turning a blind eye. By 1943, Pilecki realized two critical things. First, the Gestapo was closing in on his organization. Key members were being discovered and executed. The risk of his own capture was growing every day. Second, it was clear that an internal uprising without outside help was impossible. The prisoners were too weak and the SS guards were too well armed. His mission to organize a revolt had failed. He concluded that the only way to convince the Allies of the truth was to deliver the evidence in person. He had to escape. Escaping Auschwitz was considered a suicide mission. But Pilecki, along with 2 other inmates, planned a daring breakout. On the night of Easter in April 1943, during a shift at a bakery outside the main camp, they overpowered a guard, cut the phone lines, and disappeared into the night. After a grueling journey, dodging German patrols for over a week, Pilecki finally reached safety and reconnected with the Polish Home Army. He immediately wrote a detailed, final report on everything he had witnessed. He pleaded with his superiors to authorize an attack on the camp, offering to lead the assault himself. He argued that even if it was a suicide mission, it was better to die fighting than to allow the mass murder to continue unopposed. But the Home Army Command, facing overwhelming German forces and lacking the resources for such a massive operation, deemed the plan too risky. They could not sacrifice their limited forces on an attack they believed had no chance of success. Pilecki's urgent calls for action were once again denied, but Witold Pilecki was not a man to give up. He continued to fight. In 1944, he fought in the Warsaw Uprising, one of the bravest and most tragic chapters of the war. After the uprising was crushed, he was captured by the Germans and spent the rest of the war in another prisoner of war camp. When the war finally ended, one might think his story would conclude with a hero's welcome. But a new, darker chapter was just beginning. Poland was not liberated, but instead fell under the control of a new totalitarian regime, the Soviet-backed communist government. Pilecki, fiercely loyal to the independent, non-communist Polish government in exile, remained an enemy of the new state. He returned to Poland under a new identity, this time to gather intelligence on Soviet atrocities and the persecution of his former comrades from the Home Army. In 1947, he was discovered and arrested by the secret police. He was brutally tortured, but he refused to betray his network. His captors told him that his time in Auschwitz was child's play compared to what they would do to him. In a sham trial, he was accused of espionage and treason against the new Polish state. In May 1948, the man who had survived Auschwitz, the man who voluntarily entered hell to expose its horrors, was sentenced to death and executed by his own countrymen. The communist regime tried to erase him from history. His name was forbidden, his story buried. For decades, one of the greatest heroes of World War II was virtually unknown, even in his own country. It wasn't until the fall of communism in 1989 that his story could finally be told. Today, Witold Pilecki is recognized as a national hero in Poland. His reports stand as one of the most important documents of the 20th century, a testament to the depths of human evil and the incredible heights of human courage. His life serves as a powerful reminder that one person, driven by conviction and an unbreakable spirit, can stand against unimaginable darkness. He didn't just fight the Nazis, he took the fight directly to their dark heart, armed with nothing but his courage and his unwavering belief in the truth. Thank you so much for watching. The story of Witold Pilecki is one that deserves to be shared and remembered. If you found this story as moving as I did, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more incredible stories from history. We'll see you in the next one.